Six to go.
Makes a mistake again. He missed a shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin. He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak and visit victory lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slowed down hot in these curves. Up and over. There's Zach Buchanan running a 10. Great restart here for the 2 car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over. Down into turn 1. There goes the tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
The land of the rising sun is home to many famous racetracks, and perhaps none more so than Honda's proving grounds, Twin Ring Motegi. Tonight, the Fuel HostVenom Cup Series heads to round number 10 at Motegi, and tonight is 130 laps of pure oval series action from a racetrack that's all the way across the world, Vinny. And so this place almost looks like a cross between Darlington, Dover, and Richmond. It's a very strange racetrack. It drives very strange. Slow corners, but very slippery, and these drivers will be fighting control all evening to keep their cars in control.
I would say we're at a track here that was exclusively designed for the IndyCar series, similar to Indianapolis. It was never designed for stock cars to go around it, and they have never had. But we are here in iRacing here at Motegi with the NASCAR Cup cars ready to go here for 130 laps.
Qualifying underway right now, and after coming off of a couple weeks of crazy action at Chicagoland, and then we headed to New Hampshire last week. There's a few drivers in here that have locked themselves in, but some still have yet to win a race. One of them, Tim Silman, the number 6, he's actually backed it in the fence out of turn number 4, but look, he has actually jumped to the top of the board in qualifying, so I hope that time sticks. There's Tim Johnston right now in second place. He's one of only 4 drivers who have laid down a time with 2.5 minutes to go, and we mentioned how slippery the conditions are here today. Fitting 106 degrees on the racetrack. That's hot even for any racetrack, but Japan's racetracks often use seashells in its aggregate for the pavement finning, and that means is that you're left with a surface that's very slick and hard to get a grip on, especially in hot temperatures.
And you'd see too that the air temp isn't air temp wise is only 78, but yeah, with all the sun beating down on the track, 106, and has the chance of only going up from here on out once these guys start running on the track here.
Or Pelletier in the 56. How about Don Runkle Jr.? He's locked himself into the Fuels Finals with a win at Auto Club a couple weeks back, and hasn't had a spectacular run since, but he's been trying, and only 9th best out of 11 for him right now in that Viagra 00 Toyota Camry, and he's going to call it quits there. How about Thomas Baresi, the 24 car? This guy has been so close to so many wins this season, perhaps a bit too nice in recent weeks. Gotta lay the bumper to him, but here he is rolling out of turn number 4 now. We'll see where he logs his first lap, and if he'll go for a second with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. He'll come across the line. He's immediately going to jump to 5th place. A good result there. How about Brian Yazek in the 55, 4th? 4th fastest right now. Jeff Ward and Greg Evans jump to the top of the board. Evans beats out Ward by 66 thousandths of a second. Paul Pepper on track in the number 3 car. He's coming across the line for his second lap. Where's that going to put him? He was 12th quick, and he'll drop down a spot in 13th as James Pascarella comes up to 7th and number 79. And this is a new name here to the series, at least new to me, as he jumps away before I can get a good look at his race car. But new name for you too, I guess?
Yeah, I don't recognize that name also at all. If he did, unless he did make a start. Sorry to him. But first time we noticed him, currently in 7th, so a good qualifying effort out of the 79 car.
Tyler Hensley in the 44. He's had kind of an up and down season. He's been in the mix, but he's been close to winning a lot, and I think he's just really hungry to get back to winning form here after running a bunch of seasons over at the Hardline Racing League. He's now going to come here and has had success, but maybe not as much as he had hoped, and he's going to come across the line to start his first lap. See what time he can put on down. And we'll ride on board here for a lap at Motegi, and you can see the racetrack is not a perfect oval. It's very much like Darlington in construction, just a bit wider and flatter, and Hensley slips out of turn 2 and into the fence, and that's going to invalidate that lap, and he's not going to get a qualifying time, and so that's going to hurt his efforts here tonight.
Yeah, like you said, it is like Darlington, the fact that one end of the track is vastly sharper than the other end. but also a lot less banking here, a lot flatter of a track, and also notably less of that one groove you typically see at one or two grooves really. Darlington up against the wall. Here you have a huge amount of space to work with.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a bit of an understatement. This track is really wide, and if you look down the straightaways here, Finian, it's almost Talladega-esque, the amount of straightaway you have to work with. But the walls are pretty much all concrete. I think we have safer barriers in the turns, but if you hit the wall here, it's going to hurt, and I think we're going to see a lot of that tonight, just because the track is so slick and the conditions are so tricky. I think the experience is probably going to win out this evening, but we could potentially see a first-time winner if things get spicy up front, I'll say that.
Yeah, and I'm sure a few drivers do want to get a win until themselves into the playoffs, but speaking of the points, let's see if we can you can't throw that up on screen.
Points.
Didn't update points?
That.
Okay, no, never mind.
Forgot about that.
I'll read them off here on my computer. So Scott Eckridge is currently leading the points. No one's really surprised there. Man has been absolutely dominating this season so far. Then we got Timothy Johnson, Tim Silman, Thomas Brusty, Anthony DeBarro, Gail Brooks, Brian Yazik, Greg Evans, Drew Carroll, and Thomas George, all in the top 10.
Yeah, but Eckridge's not here tonight again, Finian. He missed last week as well, so this is going to be 2 weeks. He's losing his points lead. He had a whole race lead. Now he's down to 29 over Timothy Johnson, and Timothy Johnson is starting he's actually starting 8th tonight, so he's just going to keep eating into that lead that Eckridge has if he keeps not showing up.
Well, I'm sure Eckridge probably doesn't really care too much because he doesn't need to show up until the playoffs start. I think he just needs to make sure he meets mental participation, but he should be good on that front. Only missed a few weeks here and there. But yeah, he's pretty much locked himself in with his 4 wins. Absolutely no one's going to beat him on that front. And again, only very few guys locked in on wins. Scott Eckridge with 5, Anthony DeBarro with 1, Thomas George with 1, Nick Cohen with 1, and Don Runkle Jr. also with 1 win.
I think was there one other person that had one?
Nope, that was it.
That was it? Okay, Finian. Also, thing to note, smaller field than we're used to seeing here. I think we have 26 cars on the grid, and that's probably because this track is not usually raced by the oval crowd. This is a road course and an oval kind of intertwined, to say the least. And if we go up to the blip cam, you can kind of see it right there. The road course kind of feeds in underneath the oval, and you get a great angle. It's actually a perfect shot there of the combination of oval and road course. But this is not typically a track that is run by the oval guys, and so tonight some drivers are likely to have never even driven on it before. And how about Anthony DeBarro? Didn't get a qualifying lap. He'll start towards the tail of the field along with Hensley, Christopher Matthews, and a couple other guys, including there is the 32 of Mike Hurley back here as well. I think that's the 59 of Evan Adams. Yes, it is. Also, Calvin Filarski did not take the grid, Finian, so he either missed it or did not plan on racing it. We mentioned for Timothy Johnson in the 28. He's starting in the 8th spot. But how about Nick Cohan on pole? Has a victory to his name in that CJAutoPA.com Toyota, I almost said Tundra, Toyota Camry. And he'll be starting from the pole alongside. That is that is the 46 car. And that's Greg Evans. I guess that paint scheme updated because he had a bright green scheme a couple minutes ago, and I was not aware that the scheme had changed, so that's why that confused me so much. All right, Finian Pace's car is going to pull off here in a second, and that's going to leave us with a field of 26 cars going for 130 laps around Twin Ring Motegi. Nick Cohan leads him down. Green flag flies. We're racing in the land of the rising sun.
Going off to a great start. He's going to get ahead of Greg Evans, and Evans again needs to get a win. He needs to at least perform well here. Currently running in second, but in behind him, Jeff Ward trying to take away second spot.
Field kind of fanning out through turns 1 and 2. You got to be careful here on the opening couple laps. Just find your groove, get into your rhythm here. It's going to be difficult not to get yourself in the fence with how slick it is. But so far, the field working their way in and out of traffic. There's Yazik jumping down to the inside lane, and there's a 0-0 popping way out of line to the inside of Hensley. Hensley goes down to block into turn 3.
Yeah, and Hensley trying to get ahead of Don Runkle Jr., but Cohen's going to round turn 4, and he's going to lead the first lap here. You see everyone fan out, just struggling for some grip, and there you see Gail Brooks hit the wall there. Gail
Brooks got in the fence there, had an internet blink there, which is unusual, to say the least. How about the 9 of Thomas George jumping out of the inside of Justin Rodden? And George has been really quick lately, but and he also found victory lane a few weeks ago, I think, so he's looking to get another one. And Rodden behind him, he's got Paul Pepper on the inside trying to chase him down.
Paul Pepper trying to look to the inside, but again, I think it's going to be kind of tricky here with the way this package is. See Pepper now trying to go to the outside lane. Gail Brooks high and losing some momentum, and here comes now the 0-1 to the inside. Pepper all the way down. trying to make it 3 wide into 1.
And there are going to be 3 wide down there. Gil Brooks actually scraped the fence out of turn 4 a couple laps ago, but the car looks fine. We're still 3 wide through 1 and 2.
Yeah, look at the power on the outside, the 71. Great job, he was able to keep his spot.
On the back straightaway, there's a bit of a shuffle going around for about 6th place. That's Thomas Bresci, Brett McBride, and Brian Yazik all fighting over 5th place. Yazik's going to roll that high lane. I'm curious to see how the lanes develop. I've never watched a stock car race at this racetrack. I have no idea how it's going to race. And I'm curious to see... Oh, there's a crash in the back, and there was the 3 car involved. And
saw DeBarro as well, and
yes.
cautions out. And wow, he goes flipping end over end.
A big crash there for the 27 of DeBarro and the 3 of Paul Pepper. Both those cars, big damage here early. Calvin Filarski just gets out on track, and he's 2 laps down, but we'll probably get one of those laps back here. But Paul Pepper hard in the fence, and let's check out and see how this one happens. My Stream Deck is not cooperating tonight, so hopefully I can be just as quick as I normally am with getting the replays. But there's the 27 down to the inside. Paul Pepper just pushes up, and Rodney didn't give him a ton of room there. I'll say that at least. Wow, look at DeBarro. He went over on his roof.
Car turned back hard and hit the ground again. But I think it's going to be a night over here early for the 27.
Yeah, DeBarro works down to the inside. A great move here, but the 0-1 never really tracks out. So just 2 cars going for the same space. I think the 0-1 probably could have given him some more room, but decided not to. And 27 gets up on his lid, then turns back over. Ride one more time on board. 27. This will be a wild ride, folks. Probably thought he had these guys cleared and home free. And then straight into the concrete inside wall there and up and over. What a ride. That's going to leave us now with caution out here on lap number 5. Nick Cohan has led the first 5 laps. Greg Evans sitting in 2nd, Jeff Ward 3rd, Silliman 4th, and Rhett McBride 5th. Our typical front runners up here, minus DeBarro and Scott Eckridge, Finian, but with those 2 out, that really gives everybody, I mean, there's really nobody here that wouldn't be a surprise at this point. I mean, even Nick Cohan at this point, he's won one time in the past, but has struggled to get himself victory lane in a bit of a split strategy here. Most of the field coming down, but a couple guys, Bresci and Stillman staying out. I kind of like this move here, Finian. I sense we could see some yellows tonight. I think track position's where you want to be right now. We'll see how tires matter, though, in 5 or 6 laps.
Yeah, I think from the very little testing I did and from what we've heard from drivers in practice, that the conditions out here are very hard, especially with how hot the track is. So that's also, so I think guys are going to try to get as much grip as they can and pretty much get tires when they need them.
Cody Tabor stayed out too, and so the Silman and Bresci were running inside the top 10. Cody Tabor was towards the rear, so we'll see how this all pans out. Cohan wins the race off pit road. Evans and Jeff Ward follow right behind. Yazik, no surprises here. But Travis McQuistion tried to rebound after a disastrous race at New Hampshire a week ago. And James Pasquarella in the 79 having a decent first race here with Mahan behind him. And Thomas George, we mentioned his victory. He's capable of winning so many races, and I think maybe his recent one is going to help him in the confidence level and just be able to drive the car a bit harder. But Silman takes over the lead. I think this is a good move for him, but we'll see how much those tires matter.
Yeah, this will be kind of a small indicator. Again, not a big enough run on the tires to really wear them out, but I think we'll see a slight difference in performance.
Well, it's a mile and a half, Finian, but that's about all it's got in common with any other racetrack in the world, really. I mean, yeah, it looks like Darlington, and it drives like a mixture of Rockingham and Richmond. I mean, this is kind of this is like a really generic NASCAR track. Just kind of, it's a mix of every unique oval that NASCAR has to offer, all in one. It's a really interesting track that way, but definitely interesting. And in the past, we've seen Indy cars; they have so much higher sustained speeds in the corners. These Cup cars look like they're crawling around here in comparison. Yeah, in fact, the Motegi was built by Honda out of the test track, and it was used to mainly get them when they got into IndyCar to try to figure out how to get the car's performance to work and just kind of learn about the cars at American-style tracks. This is the only real big oval in Japan, and for a good reason there. It's also so wide, and it's also really inviting, Finian. So how do you balance a risk versus reward here? We know the track's slick. Do you want to go diving underneath people this early, or are you just going to kind of want to bide your time, figure out how to drive the car, and then get back to it later?
I think the key is going to be about figuring out how to drive the car, because again, with this package, what we've seen is that driving, can practice all you want, but really when you're in the pack behind Dirty Air and racing other cars, that's really where you're going to get the most practice and learn how the car drives at these tracks. I think here is more of the same and slightly less just due to the nature of these corners. Turn 1's definitely especially interesting because we saw Gale Brooks, he was able to drive around the outside of guys in the higher lane, which is something I don't think you would have been able to do with the older package, but with this higher amount of downforce, you can really use a lot more lanes.
A pretty even split in the top 15 between Chevys and Toyotas, only a couple Fords in the field.
I would say I only noticed 2, and they're all both in the back. I know one of them's Mike Hurley. I don't know who the other one is. I think the 92 of Christopher Matthews.
I think Evan Adams is the other one. Yep, it's 59. The other.
Oh, this paint scheme? Oh, his paint scheme changed over. That's why I didn't recognize the car.
Well, I guess iRacing servers are struggling tonight.
I don't know.
Can't be me.
I think the internet is struggling in general too. I was trying to download a document.
Or
That
is
was
it?
20.
Or is it me?
No, I think it. I don't know. I've struggled.
Or just the network.
Yeah, because I was trying to download a file that was 25 megabytes, and it just was having none of it. And I was just like, I don't know how that's working. But
well,
yeah.
we know the Wi-Fi is garbage, but I'm definitely not on Wi-Fi, so.
Yeah.
It seems like it's hanging on okay, so we should be alright. Alright, so Silman leads here. Single file restarts, Finian. Those have debatably cleaned up things quite a bit, but I think we're going to see a lot of inviting dive bombs down into turn 1 because on a single file restart, you want to keep yourself tucked up to the right side of the track, but the inside, I think, is the place to be when you get down to the corner, so I think we're going to see a lot of people diving to that white line when we get down to turn number 1 of the restart.
Also, really, Brian Yazek. Okay, I was going to say I was curious if he was going to start down there, but yeah, that's Paul Pepper there with a damaged car in the back of the field, just letting everyone on by. I think unless his engine gave way, no, he's going back up to speed.
Okay, so we'll try this again. Lap number 9 will be the restart. Tim Silliman, Thomas Bresci, Nick Cohan, Greg Evans, and Jeff Ward, your top 5. Pace car pulls off. Silliman leaves a lot of space to the right. Green flag in the air again. And no one can really get the acceleration. I see John Rodden trying to poke his nose back there, but can't quite get a good enough run to take anything with it.
And there you see Nick Cohan diving off to the inside of Thomas Bresci, and we were talking about this earlier, so let's see if he can make it stick. I think he should be able to as these guys get up to speed.
Off of turn 2, Cohan takes a good run. We'll see how much those tires really matter. Silman jumped out to a 3/10 of a second lead in the first couple corners. We'll see how long it takes Nick Cohan to run him back down, but so far Bresci's pulled even as they get down to turn number 3. And Cohan's just going to drive away. I think tires are the way to go here, Finney. It looks like you were right about that.
Yeah, and you can see we're already taking in chunks towards Tim Silman, and Nick Cohan with a run here. He's going to have an easy look into turn 1 unless Silman defends. No, he doesn't.
And then behind, Greg Evans taking a look down to the inside of Bresci.
Yeah, and watch Tim Silman. I'm actually curious how the lanes are going to differ here. Looking on the outside, Silman's going to get a nice run off the 2 here, down back straightaway.
Side by side for the lead. Silliman versus Cohan, 5-lap old tires versus 2-lap old tires. We'll see which ones prevail, but so far it looks like the new Goodyears are the place to be. And someone's going to have to give up this lead, and I don't know if he'll have a good enough run to get off of the corner to take
No, he won't. And really, you can see there that the tires really hurting in the turn 3 and 4, which is the narrower part of the track where you really do need the grip to get the car to rotate. And you see Greg Evans now pulling out to take away second from Tim Silman.
He just dove to the bottom, and that's what I was expecting to see. And I'm really curious to see if this outside line comes in later tonight, because this track is so flat that I don't think the outside is going to give you a ton more momentum than running the inside. This almost screams almost like a New Hampshire. It's a bit more banking than New Hampshire, but it seems like those corners are like that, where the middle groove to the bottom is okay, but the outside really doesn't give you a whole lot of advantage like a higher bank track would like Charlotte. So Silman's hanging on okay, but I think the inside's the place to be. He just needs those fresh tires.
You see also Jeff Ward in the 89 working past Bresci, and the 6 and the 24 slowly starting to fall back there. You see Yazek now catching up.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if this is really all that slow. I mean, they've already lost a couple
Ward
spots.
a little bit loose.
And Bresci scrapes the fence out of turn 2. No harm, no foul there, but don't want to be scraping the fence a whole lot. It's going to hurt your aerodynamics here, and you're going to need every little bit of that downforce for the track this flat and this fast. But Cohan has pulled out to a half a second lead, now working lap number 12. Steve Bresci has already fallen back to 5th from restarting in 2nd. Thomas George in 12th right now, looking to the inside. You see everyone kind of chasing each other down the racetrack through the corner. The track is so wide that the inner radius is so much tighter than the outside, and it's a lot shorter mathematically. So I think you're going to see a lot of people dive into the inside lane until the outside comes in, if it does come in. We'll have yet to see.
Yeah, I think it might need a little bit more grip, a little bit more rubber put down on the lane to get it to work. But we'll see as he goes on there. You see Yazik now making a pass on Bresci for 5th place.
The Ward has gotten away from Bresci now as Yazik works the inside lane. Renton Pride coming from behind as well. He's got Timothy Johnston behind him. And Timothy Johnston second in points right now. It's been Mr. Consistency this season so far for the 28, which is something that he lacked last season. But so far, so good for him. He's just lacking a victory, which is extremely important to get himself. Actually, does he have a victory? No, he doesn't. Okay. I missed the first couple races of the season. Caution out again. And it's Paul Pepper on the back straightaway. Lap number 14. Second caution on the evening. And just like before, Crash involving the number 3 just gets away from him out of turn 2. And loses down the back straight. That's straightforward there. That'll probably end his night. So Kohan takes over the lead after the 6 and 24 slip back on the restart, and now I think it's a no-brainer. Now I think you've already what you've done. The last caution, what the 6 of Silliman did in the 24 of Thomas Bresci, what they did is they just dipped their toe in the water. They wanted to see how that would work.
Yeah.
They obviously know now that that didn't work.
And that was only with 4 laps of running. We had now we had more than that. I think we had 7 laps of running now. So yeah, I think you definitely want to come in.
I think we're going to see pit stops every single time now, and no tire limits. So we're not going to see any strategy that way. But for the 6 and the 24, that worked out because they learned something, and because of that, everyone else learned something too. So it helped everybody.
The pit road's going to be a busy place. See Gail Brooks stay out. I think he might be staying out to lead a lap. He is one of those drivers that's close to the cutoff. He's currently 9th as a seat for the playoffs. That's including the drivers that have locked themselves in. So he's kind of close to the bubble, so he's just trying to make sure that he gets in on points. But meanwhile, here's everyone else coming down into pit road.
Oh, there was contact there. The 55 and the 5 got together.
And Yazik struggling to get the car restarted there. You can see him get restarted and reverse into his pit stall and damage already to the back of his car.
Yeah, this is one of those situations you have to be careful of. When you come down to pit lane, you're not always ghosted down here. You get ghosted once you get to your pit stall, but not quite there. And they're pretty heavy contact there. It sent the 55 into the fence. Can't really fault anybody there. I think there's just an expectation that you'll be ghosted at that point, and it just wasn't met.
And tough break for Yazik. I was just about to say he's currently the 10th driver put in to the bracket based on points, so he's right there on the bubble with a lot of people. He has a little bit of a buffer back to the 46th of Greg Evans, but Yazik needs to make sure he gets a couple good finishes because in case Greg Evans gets a win, which is in the last few weeks has seemed a lot more likely, he would get put out on that respect.
Christopher Matthews is riding around in 2nd place right now. I think all these guys are going to come to pit road now to take tires. I think it's very clear that you're going to want tires for these runs, no matter how short they are. So those 4 cars that stayed out are coming in. Those drivers were Brooks, Matthews, Tabor, and Evan Adams pulling in now. And careful, I don't want to same situation we just saw. They get themselves organized nicely. 2 laps to the restart here. Tyler Dahlgren, the 88, coming back after a rough week at New Hampshire. This has just not been his season either.
Yeah, he's struggled quite a bit this season. We've seen running in 17th, running in 14th, started in 17th. But yeah, it hasn't gone his way. We've seen him have a couple of good runs last season, but yeah, this season just has not been able to be up there in the front.
As for Matthews, though, he kind of shot out of the cannon when he first started racing in the series and posted a 2nd place finish at Chicagoland, I believe.
Was it Chicago?
I think it was Chicago.
Yeah.
And he's had some pretty good runs. Last week, I think he had trouble at New Hampshire, but looking to rebound this week. Riding around right now, maybe just trying to feel this place out again. Not a lot of drivers have experience here, so I think we're just trying to learn some things right now before we get into the longer runs. Kohan, though, I mean, remember last season how many times he was so close to winning a race and didn't get there. This season finally broke through and won a race. Actually, I don't remember what race it was. You can probably remember that for me. Commentate, you should know this right off the top of your head.
Well, you commentate several days a week.
Finian's memory is not great, clearly. Oh boy, he's gonna have to go look all the way back at the results. I remember Don Ronco winning.
Yeah, I know he won in California.
Because I told you that at the beginning of the broadcast. Kansas. Oh, that's right. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that was a few weeks ago. That's why I don't
that was a
remember.
little while ago. But so ever since he won at Kansas, it seems like the speed has been there, but he's kind of been struggling with the same thing that he struggled with last year. Is he's up front, but just not close enough to win a race. So
yeah, and we saw him throw something at the wall at Pocono. Was trying to win on a fuel strategy there, but wasn't able to get it done and lost quite a few positions. But at that point, he was locked in anyway into the playoffs, so he didn't really have to worry about that.
well, especially when a race is being dominated so much, you have to really throw something at the fence and hope it sticks. And he threw it, just didn't stick. Yeah. Coming back to the restart, we're going to try this again. We've been slowed so far by 2 cautions, both involving the number 3 of Paul Pepper, who is now out of the race alongside Anthony DeBarro, who was involved in the first collision as a victim. So Nick Cohan, Rhett McBride, Greg Evans, Tim Silliman, Jeff Ward, your top 5 pace car pulls off. Single file restart. Green flag back in the air here at Motegi.
Everyone racing off in turn 1. I see a pass there in the back between McQuistion
And Pascarella.
Yeah, this is the new driver, Pascarella. Here, you qualified in the top 10. Here he is trying to assert his dominance.
Whoa, contact! Woody Mahan's going to spin.
Oh,
Does
he's
he
going to
save
drift it.
Oh, he almost has it.
He got
does.
it. Yeah.
Great save there by the 8 car.
What better place to drift than Japan?
I think he's a native with how good of a job he just did. There's Brandon Mindo trying to take advantage of it.
And I gotta say, again, from what I've driven in practice, it's very hard to try to save these cars here. Very tail happy once they get sideways. Did a great job there. Unfortunately, he's going to lose quite a few positions, but hopefully he can make them back up.
I didn't lose as much as he could have. He's still riding in 13th at the moment. There's John Rodden popping out a line to the inside of Don Runkle Jr. with those Toyota Camrys running around at the moment in 15th and 16th. The 0-1 power slides through the middle of the corner there. And he's actually going to get position on the 33 and pull alongside him down the back straight.
Yeah, we saw Rodden. He was involved in that first caution. Here he is trying to move himself up. Hasn't had enough really lap to be able to move up, but here he is on the outside of John Rodden in the 33.
Jump back up to the front for a moment. Oh, contact between these two, the 6 and the 5. This is a battle for third right now.
Whoa!
And they're in the fence, rubbing each
Rhett
other down the front
McBride.
straight. And I think they're definitely upset with each other.
Oh, yeah, they are. That was definitely intentional there with the 5 putting the 6 in the wall. Here you see Silman now trying to run around, though.
We're not done yet.
They're going to be side by side again. We'll see the Silman return the favor here.
Wow.
Timothy Johnson out to the inside of Tim Silman, so I'm curious how he's going to try to play this out.
Grinding down the front straightaway concrete. And 5 just drove it off into the corner in turn 3. Here comes the 28, just taking advantage of both those guys getting into each other. And he'll take the spot away from the 6. Now make an advance on the 5.
And you can hear these guys shifting in 3. They're going so slow that they're able to do so to try to get some acceleration. They see Johnson out to the inside of McBride trying to make a pass. And Silman's starting to fall back.
Now Silman's got some significant left front damage. The 5's got his right front and his splitter all knocked in. Yeah, they hit pretty hard into the fence on the front straightaway wall. So you see John Rodden out of line there in the background, as well as Tyler Dolger. But the battle right now, highest up the racetrack, is for 5th place on track. Silman is driving the wheels off that thing, trying to get back to McBride. This could get really interesting, folks.
Yeah, I'm curious what's going through his head, if he's just trying to get around the 5 or if he's trying to give some payback. You see major damage to both the left and right side of that 6 car.
Oh, 5
loose.
cars loose and sliding. All out of control. He's trying to save it. He's going to lose a lot of momentum down this back straightaway, though. He's going to come over in front of the 79 to throw a block.
And that mess of a nose that he has right now is definitely not doing him any favors. It's going to be a lot of lost downforce.
Well, McQuistion's going to try to chuck it up the inside of the 6. Can't quite make it stick, though.
Yeah, that was very dangerous there, but they're going to keep it collected.
Some sparks flying off the right side of the 6.
Oh, he's got to run. Someone's got to run on McBride. What's going to happen here?
They'll back off before the corner.
Okay.
I think they've settled it, whatever it was. That was the opportunity there for the 6. Tyler Hensley looking to the inside of McQuistion. Oh, and there it is. Tyler Hensley looking to the inside of McQuistion. Can't quite get it done. Tillman got another big run down the straightaway.
He's going to try to make a pass here into 3. Gonna go side by side now, racing out for 7th place. And Silman trying to keep it down there. He's gonna come up the corner.
No,
McBride pinching.
And leaving him lots of room this time.
Yeah, and where's Thomas George? You see him in the back trying to get a draft off one of these guys. Where is he gonna go?
Gonna back out early, let these two deal with each other. 5 McBride's gonna try to late apex this. He's gonna get a run. Oh, Thomas George tried to shift there. It's kind of a messy shift. Trying to get on board with the 5 McBride. Thomas George with a big run. These two are just all out in a battle right now, Finian. They're not giving anything. We're only on lap 25 of 130. You'd think they'd calm down, but they're racing each other hard.
Silman loose off of the corner. He's going to save it, but looks like he's starting to struggle with grip. Now here comes Thomas George now on the inside of Rhett McBride.
George throws it down into the corner, and Hensley is closed in again on McQuistion. And McQuistion slips way up the racetrack. Great save by the 93. As McBride and Thomas George now fight side by side down the backstretch. And then 93 still struggling. There's Norm Pelletier taking a look down to the inside and trying to take advantage of his mistake. But 9 car jumps to the inside. Hensley chucks it into the corner. They're just driving these things in so deep, Finney.
Yeah, and good job. And Hensley has done a fantastic job getting that car in the top 10. Started further back in the field. He's been able to drive his way up here tonight.
Norm Pelletier had a look at McQuistion in the 93 car. Couldn't quite get the job done. 5 in the 44 now. McBride is definitely slipping back. I'm wondering if this damage is hurting him more than it is Silliman at this point.
You see Hensley with the run. Yeah, McBride really struggling with the damage to that nose of his car. I think almost more so than Silman.
Yeah, like I said, I think Silliman's damage, whatever he had, it definitely looks less severe than what the 5 has. And McBride continues to drive down the order in the wrong direction that he wants to go in. So the contact there hurting the 5, not so much the 6 car. Hensley gets through for 9th. Now behind, William Hahn, who had slipped up earlier, is now chasing down the 5. And here comes McQuistion, recovering from his slip up a couple laps ago. He's still loose out of turn 2.
Yeah, I think turn 2 is probably going to be one of the biggest trouble spots, almost more so than turn 4 being so tight. I think just because these guys are building up so much momentum, so much speed with these cars, that it's going to be very on edge. And once the tires start to give way later in the run, you're going to see probably a lot more guys get a lot loose. And we're already seeing guys get loose off of 2.
McBride down to 11th, and he might lose 12th here, or he might lose 11th here to the 12th place 93 car of McQuistion. Gail Brooks and Don Ronco Jr. trading spots here for 16th on track. Tyler Hensley in 9th trying to close up on Thomas George. But how about up front? Nick Cohan has pulled out to a 1.7 second lead. This could be his one to lose, but Greg Evans trying to keep him honest last time through. Was 0.2 quicker, so he is closing. Jeff Ward quicker than both of them with a 36.501. And Bresci about a half a second behind that in 4th. Now that strategy that he played earlier has actually worked out for him quite nicely. Gained a few spots through that. Is now riding around inside the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, he's starting to come into his own here. Ooh, just I say that he hit it's the wall too, just a little bit, but yeah, he's doing a great job running in the top 5 here, and looks like he's going to stay there for the most part. We're now looking back at Rhett McBride, who's still struggling, trying to keep the 93 McQuistion behind him.
Yeah, well, I wanted to watch the McQuistion car here. If we ride on board, we'll pull the ticker back for a second. Look how much he's wheeling this thing on the exit of turn 2. We're in turn 4 right now. It's on the inside of McBride, who's to his outside at the moment. But when we go back inside the cockpit here, for the exit of turn 2. He's been driving this thing darn near sideways. You hear the tires working. You see him correcting back to the right. There it is right there. Big check up to the right. He's really wheeling that thing. He just got by McBride for 11th, but that car is loose.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed it be a lot more severe when these guys are towards the inside. I think if you go a little bit higher, it kind of helps out, but again, it depends on the driver, depends on their style.
Close battle here between Norm Pelletier, Justin Rodden, and Brian Yazik. This is for 13th place.
Yeah, and Yazik trying to move up after what happened to him on pit road after McBride got into Yazik. I'm pretty sure that's what gave the 5 his damage.
Yeah, the 5 definitely picked up some more from that incident with the 6, but all that nose damage is from the collision on pit road. Yazik gets around Justin Rodden for 14th place in the 55.
Yeah, Yazik got away with pretty little, most of the damage relegated to the rear end. Oh, some minor, very minor damage to the spoiler. But other than that, that car is pretty much good.
This is just painful to watch, though. The 5 losing another spot down to 13th place and maybe 14th here in just another quarter or two as a 55. Will almost look 3 wide for a second, but he's going to ride in behind McBride down the front straight.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate too because again, he's one of those drivers that needs to get a win to get into the playoffs. And this was looking. Yeah, I think he's just letting people out of the way. I think he knows that it's kind of pointless at this point. But yeah, it was one of those guys that needed a win to get into the playoffs. And this was looking like it was going to be a strong track for him and a strong race for him. But you can pretty much write off this week. He's going to have to put his hopes next week at Iowa.
A lot of racing left. It's possible you can get something figured out, but I don't think it's the damage. I think there's also, I mean, the place doesn't seem to be clicking very well. That damage isn't really that bad. I'd be pretty surprised if it was hurting him this much. So I think there's just something not quite right inside that car at the moment for Pelletier. And Brian Yazik is on the move in this 55. Let me tell you, other than that pit collision he had, he's been mighty quick so far and had actually moved his way up the order before that pit stop incident happened. So he's in 12th, looking up the road in the top 10.
Yeah, he's been slowly moving his way up through the field. I think he might need another caution to do to get him back where he was, but I'm sure a guy who doesn't want him to succeed is going to be... Whoa!
Pelletier sideways, and he saved it. Great job there. That was a big, scary moment for him.
Yeah, sure. Almost a caution that Yazik would have wanted, but yeah. Yazik in 12th with a guy who doesn't want him to move up anymore is Greg Evans, who's currently running in second because Evans and Yazik are separated by 13 points, and Evans is the next car in to make it in based on points granted. No one else who doesn't have a win so far gets a win. So he can actually still make it into the playoffs on points. Again, it's kind of unlikely, but if Yazik finishes outside of top 10 and Evans finishes second or third, it's going to be a big boost for him.
I think it's about time this deep into a run. I think it's about time to do a SimTV sound surge. What do you think?
I'm all for it.
Timothy Johnson working over Thomas Baresi for 4th place right now. Didn't miss anything other than a slip up in turn 1 by somebody that caused a cloud of smoke. We went to go try to find it. We couldn't see anybody spinning, so nothing really happened there. Evan Adams has come down to pit road, and this is the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment, with the exception of 18th place between John Rodden and Don Runkle, but they've already traded spots by the time we got the camera back.
Yeah, it looks like Evans actually pulled the car. It looks like he's retired. So unfortunate to see that happen.
No damage on that car that I can see.
Or maybe he came in for a pit stop, but yeah, he's currently over 20 seconds, and I don't see a driver in the seat.
Yep. Bailed out for some reason or another. And that battle for 4th, though, continuing to heat up. Baresi and Timothy Johnson. And both these guys have been mighty consistent. Neither of them have been to victory lane yet this season, and both of them are really hungry. So right now riding in 4th and 5th, and I think with 2 races left to the Fuel Finals, Finny, I think Desperation is going to start kind of working its way into these races. We might see some strategy plays here. Long green flag runs look like this might be the way to go tonight, so maybe starting to think about your fuel number and how to get your way to the end.
Yeah, I think these guys, though, they might actually play a little bit more on the safe side of things. They're pretty far in. I think they're actually, they're actually the leading drivers without any wins, but are purely in on points. So I think they can kind of rest at somewhat easy as long as they can get some decent finishes out.
Bressi slipping up late in the corner, and Timothy Johnson exiting a tad lower, but he's carrying the momentum onto the straightaways. And now that draft from that big 8-inch tall rear spoiler down the back straightaway and off into turn number 3.
And here, looking back at a battle for 11th place, battle for 9th right now, with Mahan and the 44 of Hensley.
Hensley gets a bit of a bobble there. Maybe some aero help from the 8 car.
And even George there, a little bit sideways, but here you see now the 8 to the inside of Hensley.
Off into turn number 1, and caution out. It's Norm Pelletier in the 56. Going around on the front straightaway. Minimal damage to the car, but that's our 3rd caution of the night, lap number 42. And I think everyone that was struggling is breathing a sigh of relief, specifically the 5 of Rhett McBride, who fell all the way to 15.
Yeah, tough break for him, although, again, was able to get away without any damage to the car.
See what happened here. I'm assuming this has probably just got away from him.
Oh, yeah, it was already loose in the middle of 4.
Try to chase it down. And this is something. Wow, he did a great job. It just kissed the rear with the wall. But this is something that you would have expected to see perhaps on the older package. But for some reason, the combination of setup and everything, drivers are just getting away from him tonight.
Yeah, I think it really has to do with track temp because it's a very slick track right now.
Norm did a great job.
Yeah, he did an absolutely fantastic job there, being able to save the car and also keep it out of traffic. So. A great job with 56, able to save that car.
Just watch this.
Yeah. Timed that perfectly.
Woo! Just didn't even scrape the paint off it. So Norm Pelletier avoids disaster here early. Will drop down the order, but will save his car. And I know everyone's going to be making a pit stop here, Finian. So pit road going to be a busy place, and a very important place if you get yourself some track position.
I remember last time we saw some drama between the 5 Rhett McBride and the 55 of Ryan Yazik. They got into each other on pit road, so we'll see if anything of the sort happens again. But yeah, you see everyone down there. I think you have to be a fool at this point in the run. We had a pretty solid 30-some-odd lap run on these tires.
A couple drivers staying out probably to pick up a lap lead here, but the majority of the field comes on down for tires and fuel. Hensley peels off. So let's, well, now that the 9 and 55 are separated, this shouldn't be an issue. But if the 9's following the 55, their pit stalls are pretty close together. Or it was the 5 and the 55, excuse me. But they're separated enough now where it's not going to be a problem. But if they get close together in the race, where they qualified means that they're going to follow each other in, and 55 missed his box.
Unfortunate for him, he's going to make him lose some of the positions he made up. And
it's off pit road, and it's going to be Cohan, Evans, Ward, Johnson, Bressi. So Johnson actually got by Bressi through all that. And Pescarella has moved his way up to what will be inside the top 6 or 7. So that 79 car is a great showing for him so far.
Yeah, no, honestly, you know, I don't think he would be able to. That would be amazing if he was able to get a win and making him, making plays. But I don't think he's met the participation requirement, so he wouldn't be able to do that. But
Kyle Busch this season.
Yeah, but has done a great job so far. So hopefully for the rest of the season it goes well for him. McBride sitting there, I think trying to get that damage repair. I think he's realized.
Yeah, it's still not great.
Well,
it's better than it was.
Yeah, he's going to try to fix as much as he can. Also, update to what happened to Evan Adams. There was a hardware issue for him. His screen was freezing. That's why he decided to pull in for now. Hopefully we see him back out on the track, although I probably doubt it because it's not much to really gain.
Oh, I was wondering where you got that information. I was like, oh, you posted it. So Christopher Matthews comes in, but interestingly, Don Runkle does not, Finian. Surprised by that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. I do. I don't agree with that call.
Someone's going to overlay that later with the 00 getting run over on the restart. Oh, no. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised for 2 reasons. A, you ran 30 laps on this set of tires, and B, you have a win here already locked in. So you don't really need to play a gamble here. So, not sure what's happening there.
Hey, Thomas Bressi, Kyle from SimTV. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, buddy. Well, so far, so good. I saw you play some strategy earlier, and it very clearly did not work out for you. So, tires and fuel are important, but what do you need to get yourself up there and compete for the lead?
I don't know, really, to be completely honest. That 21 is a bullet. I don't know. I really thought I was going to have some for these guys on the long run, but I don't know if I burned my stuff up or what, but I was getting my butt kicked through 3 and 4, so see if I can maybe figure something out there. I don't know, but we'll see. It's not over yet. It's still a long way to go.
There's a lot of racetrack here. I mean, it's about 100 feet wide from the inside to the outside lane, but where do you prefer to run, and does that line change over time, and do you expect it to move up when the rubber comes in later?
Yeah, I mean, it moved up a little bit. I mean, well, compared to where I was running in practice in 1 and 2, like compared to where the 21's running, he's running a lot higher than I was. And then towards the end of that run, because I was struggling through 3 and 4, I started moving up a little down on that end of the racetrack, and it kind of seemed to help. So there's a little bit of room to kind of move around a little bit. I think the bottom still, like, if you really want to try and kind of keep it a little tighter through 1 and 2, still works, but there's you know, there's definitely some options, but still obviously preferred lanes at both ends. But it's definitely starting to shift a little bit.
All right, we'll let you get back to work, Thomas. Thanks for chatting with us. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Move it back. There we go. We got him. Okay. So Nick Cohan will lead us back down to the restart. So it looks like the 00 did come in and get tires and fuel. So I must have heard you.
I think probably actually what happened. I think he didn't get the lap led by you saying on that first time. So I think he wanted to make sure he got it. But again, I'm kind of surprised that he needed it because again he's locked in. But I guess you want every point you can get.
Going back to the restart, Nick Cohan, Greg Evans, Jeff Ward, Timothy Johnson, Thomas Bressie, your top 5 are 46 laps through of an 130 lap race, about 52 minutes of racing remaining. Pace car pulls off Nick Cohan in the 21 car. Green flag flies, we're racing here again.
And there you see Cohan leading everyone out, and there you see Bressie now trying to fight, resume that battle with the 28 as they head off into 1. I think he might have it here. Inside lane, very good on in the first opening lap.
Yeah, Johnson had gotten that spot back in the pit road sequence here. He's going to get a good run down the back straightaway, but not quite enough to get back to the bumper of the 24s and make their way down the back straightaway. There's Tyler Hensley popping out of line. He's to the inside of Gale Brooks. That's all the way back for 10th place.
That 44 car looks pretty fast as well. 55 here, Brett Yazik will be able to move up a few more spots with that caution.
I'm telling you, Yazik could just clean up the pit road stuff. He'd be mighty quick, but out of turn 4, he's going to pick up 14th or 13th already and continue to move his way forward.
Yeah, it was lost, I think, 2 position. Came in around 12th or 11th place before the caution came out. This restart, I think, 14th, so able to move up 1 position so far. But yeah, here you see Johnson behind Bressie and Nick Cohan leading everyone else.
Yeah, you heard Bressie say how quick Cohan was, and it's been very clear. He's been the quickest car out here tonight by a pretty large margin. He's actually the only driver to break the 36-second mark with a 35.925. And just for reference, this is a 1.5 mile racetrack. There's so little grip and so little banking. These lap times are closer to something you'd see at Michigan, a 2-mile track back in the States. So not a lot of grip, not a lot of banking. It slows his cars down quite a bit. Justin Rodden and Brian Yazik. Yazik moving his way up into 12th. He could just get this pass done. The throttle up out of turn 2, and he'll drag race down the back straight.
I think Yazik might have him entering into 3. That inside line definitely a lot better entering the corner. And there you see him go in. Will Rodden be able to run on the outside?
Throttle up. He's going to get a good run through the middle of the corner, but there's just enough grip on exit that Yazik is able to pull up in front and take that spot. And we saw this battle between Hensley and McQuistion shaping up on the front straightaway now for 9th place.
Yeah, this is a lot more. There's a lot more nuance with this corner compared to the other one. You see Hensley hit the apron, he shoots up the track. McQuistion's able to drive on by him.
Neil Brooks smells blood in the water, throttled up on corner exit. Has a run down the back straight. Might just sit on this one for now, though.
I think Brooks is playing a little patient, not entirely in a rush for him.
Johnston trying to close that gap back to Bressie. So 167 and change on the front straight, almost 170. Then you go all the way down to about 150 to 145 in turns 1 and 2. Then we get down to turns 3 and 4. That's closer to the 120 to 115 mark here that you'll see in a moment. That's because this end of the racetrack is egg-shaped.
Battle between the 79 and the 8 car side by side in 3.
This is a great showing by Pasquarello.
Yeah, Pasquarello's on a tear right now, moving up through the field, but he's fighting. You got to get past Mahan in the 8 car.
This is his first race, then he's in really good shape to win a couple races this season, whether or not he's in the fuel finals.
He could be like he could be one of those drivers that it's really fast, wasn't able to make it to the playoffs. We've seen a few of those drivers that show up halfway through the season, not in the playoffs because they showed up so late, but they're so fast they're taking wins away from the championship competitors.
Pasquarello now has got a rear bumper full of Thomas George. We mentioned Brian Yazik. He's back to 11th now. I think he's one of the quickest cars. Actually, he is the quickest car, quicker than the next 5 in front of him. So he's quick enough to be 6th place right now. He continues to climb through the field, and there's a whole gaggle of cars in front of him. And you see him running a bit of a higher line through turns 1 and 2. Just run on board with him for a lap here and see how he's tackling. Look at the 44 slipping. You see that car trying to sidetracking. He gets into the back of the 93 on corner exit. Look at the 55, a great run down the back straightaway.
Yeah, the slingshots around Hensley. And he'll be able to get on by there. I don't think the 44 can put much of a fight to that.
He's going to try, but not quite. All right, battle for second place is getting interesting. Greg Evans, Jeff Ward, and Thomas Bresci all closed up on each other now. And Johnson in that mix.
And Ward's been having a quiet race so far in the 89. Been up there in, I think, the top 3 for almost all the race. But hasn't really moved up from there. Like, in fact, the entire top 3 has kind of stayed the same over the last 40 laps or so.
From 5th on back, it's a big gap. Back to the 8 car, then it's the 79, the 9, the 93, the 55, all on top of each other, and Hensley right behind. But Brian Yazik is on a tear. He's so fast right now, continues to lap much quicker than the rest of the field in front of him, all the way up again to about 5th place. So he's one of the quickest cars out on the track. I see the 24 car right on somebody's bumper, and that's Jeff Ward he's chasing down. And he said that he was probably burning up his stuff, but he seems like he's saving it better this run, and it's showing later in the run.
Yeah, we'll see how he manages to try to get around the 89. They seem running high. I think he's going to try to go for a late apex, but in general, too, from that shot there, you can see the top 5 breaking away from the rest of the field.
Christian having a decent night so far. Are you surprised by the 44 fitting? Are you surprised he's not higher up the grid? I would have thought he'd be about P6, P7 around about now.
It seemed like he would be there, but I think he's running up his stuff or dies off a little bit towards the middle part, the later part of the run.
Look at this run Yazik just got on the exit on the 93. McQuistion bobbled mid-corner, and now the run. This is for 9th place now, and Yazik continues to climb back to where he started in P6 tonight. First of all, it was a great qualifying effort that he had as well, but that all went away when he had issues with the 5 on pit road.
And again, right now, he's also looking bigger
picture.
93's
going to be in the fence. No, he saves it and gets himself off the wall. That was a trajectory straight to the concrete that he managed to save.
Yeah, now here comes Hensley now on the inside of McQuistion. We'll see how this plays out.
How about this, though, buddy? This is something we haven't really talked about. Is Tim Silman's all the way back and forth.
Yeah, remember, we saw him struggling. I have to imagine that damage or something has hurt his performance. He was running decently inside the top 10 before he got that damage, and now he's dropped back into 14.
Yeah, his last pit stop was about 37 seconds, so he took a long time on pit road to fix some of that damage. It looks actually in relatively good shape considering. It actually looks better than the 5 state. 5 is right behind him. Brian's nose is still caved in quite a bit, so I think the 6 has got his repaired to a better standard than the 5 does. And meanwhile, for second place, Jeff Ward still trying to run down Greg Evans. Bresci has dropped off a bit, and now he's in danger of having Timothy Johnson catch him. Look at this run that 28 has down the back straight.
Really closing in there, and then brakes a lot earlier than the 24, then gasses it up mid-corner, and Bresci trying to defend here. Oh, and it's close between both these guys.
Nick Cohen has not been able to stretch out the lead as far as he did on the previous run, finishing only a half a second over Greg Evans, and Evans actually ran a 10th quicker last time. So is it fair to say the 21's still the dominant car, or maybe the 46, if he gets the clean air, could be a bit better?
I would say, honestly, right now, I think anyone in that top 3 has a good shot of the win. They've all been very strong and consistent. They've pretty much stayed in those positions. They haven't really fallen out of the top 3 since the drop of the green flag. So I think really, between those 3 is where the win's going to come from, unless something were to happen to them. But yeah, I think definitely the 21 probably the best out of those 3 as we see him. He got out to a really good run in that second green flag run we had. Has not been able to break away as far this time through. He's only been able to break away half a second away from Greg Evans.
Tim Stillman has just gotten around Justin Rodden for 13th place. Tim's got that car finally geared up, going the right direction after the damage he sustained earlier. Meanwhile, how about Thomas George, James Pasquarello, and Brian Yazik? These guys have really tightened up for 7th off into turn number 3. And here's a right on board with Brian Yazik down the front straight here.
Trying to build up a run here. Gonna look to the outside of Thomas George.
And I've watched him do this, is that he seems to just run slightly different lines. He just gets his nose in the air. It doesn't seem to matter where he puts the car as long as it's not in the shadow of the driver in front, and it's working out very well. Look at the run he's got on both these cars. Now he's going to back out. Look, he's going to shoot right for this gap in the middle here. He's got air on the nose. Now he's going to tuck in and get underneath the 9 to get air back on the nose. Incredible driving, incredible car placement, and I think the layout of this racetrack and this downforce package allows him to be able to do that. Now, if this were the low downforce package, he wouldn't have to do that. But either way, he's making good work of it. And he's going to get himself 2 spots here, potentially, move his way up into maybe 7th. Might have to work a little bit harder for it, though.
Yeah, and that strategy, again, of getting out of the dirty here as IndyCar strategy. And Yazik is an IndyCar driver, drives in the Lionheart IndyCar series, so he knows all about the dirty air and how to deal with it. And I think that's why we're seeing him excel at a track like this.
Yeah, it's so interesting because even at the other racetracks, we haven't really seen that become a huge issue. Usually you see drivers understeering, but they don't typically have the ability at the faster tracks to place the car wherever they want in the corners. You're kind of usually at kind of max velocity in the corner. You can't get it turned down anymore. If you go up the racetrack, you're just going to understeer. Here, because the track is so much slower and less grippy, you have the ability, and also the temperature speaking, 98 degrees, it's cooled down a bit, but you have the ability to kind of work your car around the racetrack, and that's helping out the 55 and a couple other drivers making their way through
The 9 and the 55 both moving past Pasquarello, who's dropped back into 9th.
Taking on Calvin Filarski in this 39 car. Missed the start of the race in this Mechanics Toyota Camry, but he's only 1 lap down. He could get a lap back if he gets another yellow.
And he's been thriving on getting those getting those 3 passes, because he was 3 laps down when the race started. It's a big wiggle out of him. But yeah, he was 3 laps down at the start with those 2 cautions. Was able to get 2 of them back. He just needs 1 more. He can get back on the same lap as the leaders.
So, in contrast to what the 55 is doing, look at what Timothy Johnson is doing. He's right on the bumper of the 24. You see, he's struggling to get any grip. You see him kind of bobbled there on corner exit. The 24 gets away from him on the straightaway. So I think he's got to search around a bit to get out of the shadow of this 24 there.
And I think also he needs to try to prioritize getting a better run on the exit. You see him here. He's going to run high. He's going to turn it in down low, try to build up a run on the back straightaway.
That was a good run there. He did exactly what he should do, and Bresci a bit tight off the corner. So he gets a bit of a run here, but now when they get down to turns 3 and 4, you don't have as many lane choices down here, so he might just follow the 24. You know, he turns in earlier. 24 misses marks there big time, and the 28 is going to slide in there and potentially get the spot.
Yeah, and you see that you can't really run wide. You see Bresci really struggling for grip there as we come down the line halfway through this race. But yeah, I think, but really in 3 and 4, you can't run as wide. You can't do the same thing in 1 and 2 just because of how tight that corner is.
Side by side now for 4th place. And not quite enough of a run, and the 24 might be able to clear him. Not quite. He bobbles on exit, and so does the 28, but they're going to still be overlapped on the back straight. Johnston has about 3 inches of overlap there, keeping that spotter busy. Bresci drives it off into the corner, but he's going to give up that inside lane to do it, and Johnston's going to drive right back down to the bottom, through the gap, and he's going to get there and be alongside on the front straight.
Yeah, actually does a great job there. Bresci really struggling in 3 and 4, it seems, compared to 1 and 2. 1 and 2, he seems to mostly have down.
Now 24 gets clear from again. This battle will continue. These guys are just so evenly matched on pace. Last time by, a 37.080 for the 24, a 37.095 for the 28.
And we're looking back at the battle between Yazik and Thomas George. Yazik with a big run has been nailing those runs out of 2.
It's just, he is driving differently than every other driver on this racetrack right now, and it's showing. He's climbed up, he restarted way back in, I think, 14th or 15th. He's climbed all the way back up to 7th. And as we say that, Johnson is breaking even with Bresci on corner exit. So Yazik clears for P7, and now Johnson trying to work over Bresci for 4th again. Just can't get the run. I think he can probably learn a thing from Yazik, and he might have the opportunity as Yazik continues to chase these guys down.
Johnson really looks fast in turns 1 and 2. That's where he's been able to beat Bresci, but him trying to pass him on the inside in 24 has really been hurting him. So I think he needs to probably reevaluate. But yeah, caution now, and it's Pilarski, and we're just talking about how he needed another caution to get back on the lead lap. But unfortunately, he was the cause of the caution, so won't be able to get a free pass. But yeah, tough break for him. Looks like same thing with Pelletier, was not able to get any damage from his spin, so the self spin out of 4.
So we've had pretty even runs, split about 25 to 30 laps apiece. Most recent caution being for the 39 of Calvin Pilarski, and I'm just going to take the assumption that this was the same kind of scenario we've been seeing all night on corner exit, just maybe getting away. Yep, same exact, almost a carbon copy what happened to Runkle, except this time not quite as lucky. He didn't really hurt the car though.
Yeah, got some damage to the nose, but nothing too major.
Not even really that much. He actually got away with it. I don't even see a scratch on that thing. However, he hit it. He must have hit a brace because it didn't dent.
Yeah, and it's actually just... Oh boy, was he able to keep ahead of Cohen?
Yes, he still scored 1 lap down.
Almost won a 2nd lap down there, but yeah, pit stop them. Again, everyone going to be down on pit road.
And we've seen everyone make these pit stops so far. No real surprises here. I don't even think we're going to see strategy played at all tonight, even if it comes down to a 5 or 6 lap shootout. I think we're going to see everyone just come and take tires. You're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage by not doing that, and you don't have the ability to race once you do that tire strategy. So you want more tires and fuel. And another thing I'm going to keep an eye on fitting is the 5. And again, because 5 McBride is following this 55 down. 55 should be well into his pit box this time. Let's see if he gets into his box clean. This time he does. A great stop there for the 55. Now the 5 pulls into his box. Race off pit road. Bresci beats the 28. Yazik, decent stop for him.
Ooh, Bresci.
He does beat Greg Evans.
Solid job there. Evans really botched his pit stop there. He lost 2 positions on pit road.
Yeah, that was due to his pit lane speed compared to everybody else. So it wasn't even the pit box. It just he wasn't as aggressive on pit lane. Looking from high above, Twin Rig Motegi here in Japan. It's been a great race so far. 70 laps in of 130, just past the halfway point here. Conditions have been in the high 70s. Track temp, it was over 100 before. It's cooling down, though.
Yeah, last time we looked at it, it was 98 degrees, now down to 96. So it's been cooling off more and more. I think it's going to make the track a lot more grippy and make these guys a lot more racy. And we saw that guys have been able to really build up runs, and I think that the cooling on the track has really helped them.
While these guys are pacing around, we're going to take a break real quick. We'll be right back with you from the restart. Stay with us. Welcome back live here to SimTV. Coming up to the restart, lap number 73 after our 4th caution of the evening. Nick Cohan, Jeff Ward, Thomas Bressey, Greg Evans, Timothy Johnston, your top 5. And we're going to take a page out of Fox's notebook, and one of the better ones, not one of the bad ones. And we're going to do a SimTV sound search right on the restart here. But coming back to the green flag, Nick Cohan leads them down, and we're coming to the green. Nick Cohan pulls away on the restart, 0.7 of a second over Jeff Ward. Thomas Bressey takes over P3, but Greg Evans is trying to get that spot back, and he's racing him hard for it at a turn number 4. Bressey throttling up. Evans trying to close in with the draft here.
Yeah, Evans trying to make up the spots. He lost 2 spots on pit road that put him back and forth, but now, yeah, trying to make it up, trying to get around Bressey, but hasn't been able to do so.
Look at Brian Yazek in 7th here on this restart, trying to close it on Woody Mahan for a spot. How about Tim Silman getting himself back into contention in 10th, working over James Pescarello, the newbie here, and Gale Brooks having a decent night at 11th, trying to get this spot away as well. But Tim Silman has been trying to get by the 76 for a couple laps, hasn't been able to do it. You see him turn down to the bottom and actually get the car kind of sideways, turning down there and bobbling a bit off turn number 4, slides up right in front of Pescarello.
And Pescarello with the run there. He looks to the inside. Gale Brooks also with a run. Had a chance to make it 3 wide. He's going to just sit on it for now.
That was really tight there. Talking about the Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch moment with DW going, "Oh, they're driving good." Some of these guys are not having very good nights, but some of them are, and one of those guys is Timothy Johnson in the 28, trying to work over Bressey, but Greg Evans using up the 24 in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Bressey, I think, got a poor run off of Q, and Evans took the advantage of that, so Evans back up inside the top 3. He's been having a very consistent night, hasn't fallen out of his top 5, I don't think, at all so far.
Closing on 50 to go. How about the 8 car working his way up to the rear bumper of Timothy Johnson, and then right behind him, Brian Yazek. We've talked about him. He's been doing something different all night. He's about to get himself inside the top 5.
I was gonna say watch him in the later part of a run, but here he is, really competitive already. But I think definitely he excels towards the later part of the run once people start wearing off their stuff.
He's going to take this spot away with ease in 3 and 4, as long as the 8 doesn't throttle up on exit, which I imagine he will. And they're going to drag race it down the front straight, but I think the 55 will have this in 1 and 2. Look, it's such a sharper entry down there when you're on the inside lane, but he takes that spot easily. The 8 car can't respond.
He'll try to get a run here.
Bressey way out of line in turn 2, and that's going to give the 28 a run down the back straight.
But Johnson, not enough time for him to get there.
Shifting for the 24. Bressey shifts at pretty much every racetrack we go to. It's actually quite impressive that he manages to make it work, but the 28 car's closing in. I don't think he's shifting.
And behind them, some of them just got around Pascarella. And that was a battle for 9th place. So they've been kind of swapping blows back and forth, both these guys.
8 car starting to slip backwards. Thomas George trying to recover after slipping back early. He had a much better start than the middle section of this race, and he's trying to work over the 8-car Ford. How about Pasquarella and Gil Brooks now fighting side by side down the back straight?
Yeah, Brooks with a run here in 3. I don't think it's going to be enough to see him back out there. He'll maybe try to gas it up here mid-corner, but I don't think it's enough to get there.
Johnson still working over Bressy. These guys have been just one-on-one all night tonight.
They haven't been able to get separated from each other. They've been stuck together like glue, and here comes the 55 of Yazek, so I'm curious on how he's going to navigate these guys. Now Yazek's officially reached the top runners. This top 5 has been really solid so far.
Yeah, last time by, Yazek was the quickest car on the track by over a tenth of a second, so he's pretty quick right now in the 55. Actually, that's not quite right. Greg Evans was the quickest, but Brian Yazek matched his speed.
Actually, the second quickest.
Second quickest, but the 55 is quick. And closing. Do the Jaws music. He's coming. And honestly, as long as he gets clean pit stop from here on out, the rate he's climbing forward, he has enough time to get to the front. But he needs to get clear guys first.
Yeah, he's this last few pit stops have been pretty mistake-free, so he's good on that front. Here you see Cohen passing by the camera now. You see a small gap to second place, and everyone else funneling through.
Cohen has had no competition this evening. He's 7.5 tenths up the road from Jeff Ward. Greg Evans in third. So they've all been chasing Cohen tonight. Oh, scraping the fence, and the 55 picks up some right front damage as well.
Yeah, he has it fallen into the wall. There's some light damage to his right front.
Well, he's gone 83 laps, and he's finally back where he started. So after all that drama. But look at him turn back down again, getting himself some clean air. But the problem is the 24 and 28, they were offset, so put an even bigger shadow. You see him wobble there. There's not a lot of downforce behind these two cars.
I think he's going to probably have to sit behind these guys, wait a few laps, let them wear out their stuff by battling each other, and then look for the chance to attack.
I just think before, all the times we saw him passing cars, it was just one-on-one. Now it's one-on-two, and these front two cars are going to make a whole lot of a bigger wake than one car on its own. So he's going to struggle to find any downforce anywhere on the track, them punching this big of a hole through the air. So he might just have to wait, like you said, for those tires to burn off and to have a larger advantage over them.
And also something to be said, dude, this top five has been kind of in a league of their own compared to the rest of the field. He's been able to, Yaz's been able to work through quite a lot of the other guys with some sort of ease, but I think these guys here, they're a lot quicker than the rest of the field. So I think he's going to have a little bit more trouble navigating through them.
Lap 84 of 130, about 27 minutes of racing remaining. Pasquarella and Hensley were fighting for 10th spot. Hensley will get that spot away. Pasquarella's actually been dropping back on this restart. I'm not quite sure what's up. He's been quick all night, but suddenly he just doesn't quite have the pace.
I think I guess it might have also been due to him being a little bit better in the looser conditions. Looking at his car, I think he's got some right front damage too.
I'd just be surprised.
Actually.
He does have damage, but it's not a ton.
Well, from the looks of it, it looks like that right front wheel is exposed in the air, so that might be relatively significant. Let's look up the bumper of the 44 of Hensley, see if we can get a better look.
Back out here. It doesn't really look that bad. I'd be hard-pressed to think that that's really causing him a whole lot of difficulty. Certainly not as good as it would be if it was clean. Well, 55's car has resolved itself, so there's net code there. But he was awful close to the fence, and iRacing thought he got in the wall, but no contact for the 55. How is he shifting? Yes, so Brian Yazek and Thomas Bressy are shifting. I don't know how much the field is doing that, but Bressy and Johnson, they just continue to match each other's pace within 100th of a second every single lap, and again, that time they did it.
What on earth? There's some spark, and it looked like Yazek hit something on the straightaway.
iRacing wants Yazek to crash tonight.
I saw him wiggle and I saw a spark, so I don't know what on earth happened.
Well, there's got to be a lot of netcode floating around right now. So Cohen has extended his lead to 0.8 of a second over Jeff Ward. And how about we haven't talked anything about Jeff Ward tonight? He's had a good season so far, and it's possible that he could be a playoff or a Fuel Finals contender at the end of the season. He's sitting in what 13th in the standings, something like that.
He put out all the drivers I've highlighted there, all top 10, including guys with wins there. So yeah, he's hitting out quite a few points. He won't be able to make it in based on points. He's been having some strong runs, but yeah, I don't think the consistency has been there for him.
The consistency's not there, but he's fast.
Yeah, he's had some quite pretty solid pace. And yeah, he'll get a kick out of this. Alright, so here's finishes. Yeah, so starting with Daytona. So, where is it? Finished 4th there. Kansas 40th. Bristol 37th. Auto Club 33rd. Atlanta 9th. Monza 3rd. Pocono 5th. And Chicago in 22nd. So he either does really well or pretty bad.
Well, I think even those pretty bad races, he was probably running up front and got collected.
Yeah, and then got into some incident. Yeah, again, that consistency hasn't been there for him, but he's definitely had the pace. So, I mean, if you can get the win, that'll lock him in, but he's only got 2 races left, and right now he would be able to, but he's got that 21 coin ahead of him, and unless it happens to him, I don't think anyone else is going to get a win here tonight.
Rusty and Johnson have had the pace all season, and they've also had the consistency to help them in the point standings. Johnson especially hasn't won yet, sitting 2nd in the standings, so he's had a great season so far, but you're going to have to start winning races, especially when you're competing with Eckridge and DeBarro in the fuel finals.
Johnson, Thomas Jordan in the background getting into the wall a little bit.
How much to trust that unless they really hit it?
I saw a spark, so I'm gonna go off of that.
So we got 40 laps to go at the line, 25 minutes of racing remaining. Nick Cohan's led pretty much every important lap so far tonight. No one has been able to touch him, so if he loses this race, he's gonna be kicking himself later.
Yeah, this will be nice for him. He hasn't been able to struggle to get a win last season. Here he's lining up himself up to get 2 wins this season so far. Yeah, really strong run for the 21 this season in general. And I think if Scott Atkins is not your favorite, I gotta imagine this guy is going to be your 2nd favorite for winning the championship.
It's been so smooth, hasn't bobbled once.
Yeah, unlike our track map, which is really not smooth at the moment.
Yeah, this feature still needs work, to say the least. Although the flickering doesn't seem to be so bad anymore. They fixed one thing, just like Stream Deck. My Elgato Stream Deck got an update yesterday, and it has not worked since then, so we're lovely. And iRacing starts working magically, and Stream Deck stops working magically, and ETVO fixes one thing, breaks another, so that's how streaming goes. The problem with this is you got, I mean, you have 5-10 programs open to run all this stuff, and any one of them goes wrong and everything just goes down the drain. I mean, nothing is ever working perfectly correctly here. I think we had a nice stretch for a couple weeks where everything was nice and smooth. Yeah. But it's not. We've had a problem every single stream for the past 3 weeks, I think, in some way or another. Whether it be me blinking for the first time. Like, I've never blinked in this apartment in my life.
Yeah, I don't know. The internet's kind of been bad.
We have fiber optic internet here. We should not be blinking. I don't know. But there's something going on with the network. I mean, we had the one time it went out completely. That was a bad night. Yeah. That was also a fuel night.
Yeah, and for some reason, worked for you, but I had no idea why my computer was just for my computer is like no internet for you. You don't get that. But here, battle for fourth still heating up between these guys. I'm sure they're probably sick of seeing each other at this point. They have not been able to break away from each other at all.
Right now, to ride on board with Timothy Johnson is the best advertising Exalta could be doing right now. That logo is squarely on that bumper, and Johnson's been staring at it. It's probably burned into his eyes like an OLED screen at this point. You having nightmares about it. But Johnson started to do this Brian Yazik strategy of pulling lower on exit, and it's working for him. I mean, you just can't get enough of a run to 3 and 4 to complete the pass.
Yeah, I think that's what's been killing him. I'm kind of putting him in a perpetual cycle of getting runs out of 2 and then kind of losing a lot of it here in 3 and 4. You see him running lower, and then I think Press is just kind of beating him to the punch here off the corner.
Caution!
Oh, yeah, caution.
Pelletier again on the back straight.
And tough break, and that's going to be number 2 for the 56.
It's not going to be good for penalties this week. You need to double duty this. Just got away from him early off in the corner and
almost saved it.
And almost saved it. Just snapped around right at the end of the travel there and sent it for a loop. Backed it into the fence. So our 5th caution on the evening here, and that's going to... We've had 8 lead changes, and we've had 13 caution laps of our 95 we've completed so far. You can go to the end on fuel from your Finian, so this could be our final stop. So we'll see how things go.
Also, too, of note, I was talking with I had in chat the league admin, talking with them on how are we good on time, because remember 95-minute time limit, and he said if on the last caution, if they went green to the end, they should be fine. But if one more caution comes out, it's going to be iffy. It's going to be it might be shortened just by a few laps. So that could throw something at these guys.
Racing to a time limit is much different than racing to a lap limit, that's for sure. Especially the battles with Bressie and Johnson that have been so close for so long. I will go to break after this caution just to give our software a reboot, fix the memory leak problem. It has, like everything else does, because nothing can work correctly. We'll let these guys pit, we'll get them sorted out, we'll jump to break for another couple minutes, but there's Hensley releasing from his pit box. Thomas George. And Timothy Johnson and Bressie. This is going to be a tight race, the exit of pit road. Who's going to get there? I think Bressie's going to get him by a nose. Close quarters there, but they'll come out 4th and 5th.
And it looks like Bressie's going to win that fight there. And order pretty much the same for the most part.
Yeah, no real shockers here. And with that, we're going to jump to break for just a couple minutes. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
Welcome back live here to SimTV. Coming to the restart with about, we had what, 130 laps? We've done, I don't even know how many because the timing's not showing right now.
We should be at around lap 100.
Yeah, okay, so what you're seeing right now is the time remaining in the race is about 19.5 minutes, Finian. So we're getting, I mean, that's the predicted time that's going to take to finish this, but the actual time we have left is less than that. So we have to keep that in mind as we get closer to the end of this. The white flag could fly before the official last lap of this race.
Yeah, I just got word from race control. Might be a tick short here, so we're going to be just at the edge of the time limit. If another caution does come out, it's definitely going to be short and without a doubt. So we'll see when we get the green flag there. It's going to be Cohen, Ward, Bressie, Johnson, Yazik, your top 5.
Look at the lap
Actually,
counter.
I was going to say, I felt like I was missing a name. Greg Evans back in 19.
Oh, yeah.
Might have had a speeding penalty.
Penalty, yeah, for the 46. So coming back to the green, the lap counter will update here in a minute. But Nick Cohan's going to lead them back down to the green. He's been the dominant car of the day. Can anyone challenge him with about 30 laps to go? Green flag flies, racing again here in Japan at Twin Green Motegi. Oh, wow, big block there by the 93. Comes right across the nose of Hensley and gets to the inside.
Almost get into each other. You see Hensley, he's all kinds of loose on the top side. He's able to collect it, but gonna lose a few spots by doing so. I bet you
he won't be happy about that move. On to the back straightaway now. Bressie takes over second from Jeff Ward. Ward drops to the inside to take that spot back. Can he do it down into turn 3? We'll see.
He's gonna try. He's gonna send it up the inside here. Bressi gonna try to pinch him down.
Close quarters racing here.
It looks like Warren might be able to get ahead of him here, but just slightly. And there you see Johnson now with the run on the back bumper of Ward. He's gonna try to follow Ward all the way through to turn 1.
Off into turn 1 now. Look at Bressi gonna try to roll the outside lane. He just drives right around the 89. Look at that move there. But now Jeff Ward's gonna pull it down to the apron. He's gonna get a better run out of turn 2. But here's the 24. He's going to have that long straightaway to use all that power, but it didn't get a good enough run to clear the 89, and I think Jeff Ward's in a good spot here.
Both these guys dead even into 3. No clear winner. There you see behind them Yazik and Johnson side by side for position.
Ward clears Thomas Bressi, takes over second again. Wow, he slips big time. Or he either did that or tried to break the draft there for a second. The big, hard, sharp left turn. And now Yazik trying to take a spot. Caution out Tyler Dolger in turn 4. And this was going to mean that the timer you're seeing here is going to expire before the end of the race.
Curious what happened there, if he had help or not due to the restart, or if he just got loose by himself.
And just got loose, got away, and almost had it saved again, but goes it into the fence.
You see him going to the corner here. Everything's fine. Then he gets a little bit loose off of 4, tries to save it, but then ends up overcorrecting into the wall. And around he goes. Yeah, tough race for Tyler Dolger, currently back in 20th now. And we've got some damage to try to fix here on this caution.
So, Finney, with about 16 minutes remaining, it's showing us here now that we should get about 20 laps in. So we have 130 laps scheduled. We've done 102 of them. So that means that we're not going to make it to the end of this race for sure.
So, gonna be expecting pit stops. Actually, sorry, correct what I said. I actually might not see people come down this time. There only went for a lap, only went for around 2 or 3 laps. So we did see people coming earlier, but I think again with a little time. Few laps remaining in the race, and we've only gone a few laps. I don't know if it's entirely worth coming down. Let's see. It depends.
Oh, that's big news.
Oh, and they see quite a few people staying out.
I don't know about this. We're running out of time, and Kohan surrenders the lead he's had all night, and he's going to be buried in traffic on this restart.
I'll tell you what. If I was one of these drivers, I would have absolutely stayed out, because we're looking to only get about 15 laps under green flag.
Tick more than that, I think.
Yeah, tick more than that, but not that many. Not enough for a full run or anywhere where the tires can get worn out. And again, we only went about 2-3 laps under green, so I think for people that stayed out, and especially considering a lot of people did stay out, I think it's going to look good for them. Yeah,
so it's showing us right now that we're estimated to have 122 laps total of the 130 scheduled. Now so typically when we restart the ticker software, it goes to time remaining, but I think this is actually the correct amount of time.
Yeah, I think probably because we restarted and I
now
think
it's time limited.
Yeah, because the time is gone. It's going to end on time before the amount of laps scheduled.
Yeah, so it's showing 122 laps scheduled, or 122 laps that will run in of the 130. So we're on lap 103 right now of 122. So we're going to have about 12 minutes, maybe 11, and the 21 car came out of pit road 15th. I don't know that was a great idea for him to pit. And Timothy Johnson and Thomas Bressi bit the bullet with him, and so did Greg Evans.
And it's not still the underworld for Cohen. Again, he's just kind of going for wins at this point. But for the other guys, again, fighting on points, I think Johnson and Bressi will be fine, but that's really going to hurt Greg Evans back in 18th. So he's going to have a very, very slim chance of trying to get the win here with this few laps to go. But how about Jeff Ford? I've barely talked about him all night long. I was just talking to you. He's almost been like the middle child of this race. He's run up in second for almost the entirety of this race, but hasn't been in the lead. Hasn't really fought anyone. Just been running a very quiet race. Here he is now in the lead, coming to 15 laps to go.
Yeah, remember, you said he's in a must-win situation for the Fuel Finals, and with that 21 pitting, that's a freebie in my mind.
Yeah, that was the main competition. Now, I would say it's almost anyone's race. But I would say it's between the 89 and the 9, but I think Jeff Ford's a lot stronger.
I think it's the 89's race to lose now. Whoa, my chair it's been having this issue.
Oh, it sounded like a balloon pop.
Well, no, the one of the bolts is like keeps falling out the bottom. I just gotta fix that. I see it. I'll fix it later.
Yeah,
but
yeah, looking at that list, I don't think really anyone can compete with them. All the real top guys, like Bressy, Evans, Hensley, or sorry, Cohen, Johnson, Bressy, and Evans, they all came into the pits. Ward was the only one out of that top 5 that's been dominating the race that stayed out. So,
yeah, so we mentioned the 89. He's in a must-win situation. He just got gifted the lead by the driver who led the entire race. If he doesn't win this race, or if he doesn't at least give a solid attempt at winning it, I mean, this is probably his best shot he has right here. He's been running up front all night. I don't think anyone behind him is any quicker, with the exception of Kohan. And Kohan is buried in traffic here. So we're going to have about 11 minutes of racing left to go when we come back to the green. He's got 11 minutes to hang on and get his first, potentially only victory of the season. So this is an opportunity now, and he's got to take advantage of it. If the caution comes out again, you got to pit now if the caution comes out, because you want to keep that track position. And if you don't take tires from here on out, you're going to be in trouble, because now that we've done a couple more laps, you're going to want those tires.
I don't know about that, because when you think about it, again, we're on time now, not on laps. So when with these caution laps going a minute and a half, and we run about 4 of them, that's quite a lot of time ticked off, because we're going to get the green coming to 11 minutes to go. So another caution call, it's going to be another 6-7 minutes under pacing. So I don't know. It's gonna be a lot of tough. It's gonna be a lot of tough decisions if another caution comes out. But if we're racing it out at the end here, it's gonna be pretty straightforward.
Jeff Ward in the 89 car is in a great spot to win his first race of the season and lock himself into the fuel finals. And that cut line is going to get real interesting. And again, we'll have the graphic for you next week on where the cut line is and exactly how close it is. But if a driver that's below those top couple spots gets a win, that's going to put Greg Evans, Drew Carroll, Rhett McBride, they're going to be on the outside looking in here. Rich Jett's also kind of right there. So if Jeff Ward's going to launch above all of those drivers if he gets this win here tonight. So keep an eye on that cut line in the points. That clean air, all things too. Ace car pulls off. 11 minutes of racing left here at Motegi. Green flag back in the air, and we're just getting down to the end of this one. The field's snaking their way down the front straightaway. Nick Cohan buried all the way back in 15th place. It's going to be exciting to watch him try to climb through this field. He's already looking to the inside of Yazek off into turn number 1.
Yeah, or he's trying to make up some ground, but I don't think he's gonna have enough to drive up there for the win, but definitely has a chance of making up quite a few spots here. Now almost 3 wide for them off of 2, but they straighten out.
Yazek tried to look middle there for a second. There's a 79 of James Pescarello. Look at Don Runkle Jr. dropping to the inside, trying to get a spot away from Brandon Minto. Now the 93 of McQuistion. He's probably running the best he has all night, but the 79 is going to drive right on past him. Out of turn 4, the 79 clears him. Cohan's only made up.
Whoa, caution out behind him.
The 24s involved Bressy hard in the fence. The 46 of Greg Evans caution out with 10 minutes left. Mike Hurley involved. The 92 of Christopher Matthews.
And Bressy there, you see what damage, not helping his race at all.
No, that car is destroyed. And this is what happens when you make a pit stop like that.
Oh, and Greg Evans involved in it as well.
Yeah, and this is the risk that you take when you pit and you get buried in the field like this. So what happened here is I think the 92, the 32, didn't really give him a whole lot of room there, and neither of them. Wow, big hits for all 3 of those cars there. And Tyler Hensley got a big piece of it as well. That's the risk you take when you pit. You know you can get buried in the field, and this is the result of what happens. So the 24, another good race thrown away on strategy. 32 was slow, and the 92, they just got together. I mean,
yeah.
No malicious intent there. Big mess.
Now, if you're in Jeff Ward's position, what do you do?
Oh, they were 46 and 24 already dooring each other.
They were using up each other, but they gave each other room on exit, but yet, and then both of them ended up getting collected here at the end, and there you see Hensley nowhere to go for him.
All right, so let's jump back live. Let's see what's going on up at the front of the field here. If any of this is going to be very important.
Yeah.
I think.
Honestly,
you're going to be right. I think they're going to stay out.
Honestly, I would stay out because we're going to get at least 3 more laps of pacing. That's about 4.5 minutes. We're going to get a restart with about 4 minutes to go. It's going to be 8 laps maybe. So, I don't know. I would stay out.
Oh, I just heard.
Yeah, I heard
motor blow.
I think that was Hurley.
Oh, yeah, Hurley's still rolling.
Maybe someone hit each other. I don't know.
That sounded like motor blowing. It might have been. I don't see any smoke. Well, actually, I do see smoke. I just don't know where it came from.
I don't either. But yeah, it looks like everyone has stayed out here.
Yeah, and good call there. And We're showing 8 minutes remaining, and I'm not 100% sure if that number is correct. I'm going to assume for our purposes that it is.
I think it is.
So 8 minutes to go. If it hasn't switched back to... Yeah, so the laps have come down even farther. So 121 now of the scheduled 130. So that's how many we're expecting to hit. We're on lap 109 at the moment. So it'll be less than 10 to go by the time we get a green flag here.
And going still looking at me stuck back in 12th. That's still quite a bit.
Yeah, he didn't make up much ground at all.
And I think his strategy of pitting might have paid off had we been doing double file restarts. With the single file restarts, if you get put back in traffic, you really get put back in traffic, and it's so hard to try to get good restarts with and pass people when you're double. It's hard to do when you're single file. It's a lot easier when you're double file. But yeah, these restarts not helping him out at all.
Track temp has dropped nearly 20 degrees since the start of this event, Finian. Yeah. So that's come way down. The grip levels have come up, and the single car incidents have kind of changed way to multi-car incidents as people have gotten more aggressive with the cooling temps. We have 4 drivers out of this race. Filarski, actually, it's going to be more than that. It's going to be Tyler Dolger, Filarski, Pelletier, Evan Adams, Cody Tabor, Paul Pepper, and Anthony DeBarro. Waiting for those lights to go off the pace car. I think we still have 2 to go.
Yeah.
So 2 laps left in this caution. That's George. Could he... He won last week at New Hampshire, right? So he could go...
No, he won at...
Chicago. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, DeBarro won last week.
DeBarro won last week. So George could go 2 for 3 here and get a win, but... You know what I haven't seen, though, is... and we're getting notification this will be the last restart, so I'm going to make the assumption that this time is correct. I'm surprised we haven't seen people be more aggressive on the single file restarts because no one's started up against the fence, and I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's hard to get a run there unless you jump it.
I think the way these guys start, I think it's so hard to get up to speed. By the time you build up enough speed where you can actually get a drafter or the middle of turn 1, so I don't think it's really worth going to the wall. It's not like an Indy car where if you can time the start, those cars just as soon as you give them throttle, they shoot like a rocket and instantly get some draft. But yeah, with these cars, I don't think it's enough to really matter as much. So these guys just kind of leave a little bit of room and rather defend. I think they're trying also to rather defend the inside line because we saw quite a few passes on the opening lap in turn 1.
We'll get a restart with about 4 minutes to go, and so that will be our last restart. If we have another caution, the race will be over.
And that'll be about that should be about 7 laps left in this race, so short amount of time, and I can imagine DeBarro is hoping he can hold these guys off because that'll punch his ticket to the playoffs if he can win this race.
We just got the 20 laps to go sign there. That's going to not be correct. It's annoying that it's just switched because it was actually right.
oh yeah, I think because we just went to 110, 111 and switched to the old thing.
Okay, well, either way, we're going to have about 6 or 7 laps to go. So you saw the timer. Basically, this is our last restart, and the white flag is coming soon. That's all you need to know. Yeah. Jeff Ward, Thomas George, Tim Silman, Gail Brooks, Justin Rodden, your top 5. We shook it up a little bit. Rhett McBride has recovered to 6th. But the guy who dominated this race, Nick Cohan, sitting in 12th. He's got a lot of work to do if he even wants to have a chance to win this race.
And if another caution comes out, any hope he has is going to be thrown out for the win. Any hope is going to be thrown out the window because.
Any hope that he has of anything?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's dark. It's really not that big of a deal, Finny. It's just a sim race.
Yeah, well, hopes of him getting a second win, especially considering we were talking.
Curse the guy's marriage, right?
We were talking, we were talking about him getting a second win here, and he was looking really strong in the early part of the race, but just I think
a bad strategy call.
Yeah,
I mean,
bad strategy call. Which again, he can afford to lose at this point, but yeah, I'm sure he's going to be bummed out that he could have had an easy second win there.
Pace car is going to pull off. Just a couple minutes left. 4 minutes remaining in this race. It's going to be about 6 to 7 laps. Green flag flies, racing again here. Coming back to the checkers in a few laps here at Motegi.
Yeah, strong start from the Indiana. Jeff Ward, exactly what he needed. He's already building a gap to the 9 car there. You see behind him, the 0-1 looks to be inside of Gail Brooks as everyone else is trying to make up some spots.
And notably, Nick Cohan didn't really get much of a jump on anybody, so he needed every bit of opportunity he could get. And there's going to be a fight for 4th place down the back straightaway, but Jeff Ward is going to have to just try to drive away. Thomas George and Tim Silliman sitting in 2nd and 3rd, close behind, but they got some work to do to get around him.
You see Rhett McBride trying to throw it up the middle 3 wide, but here you see up towards the front, Ford leading over George, who's leading over Silman. This top three breaking away. They
Brooks
see
in the fence.
Brooks, yeah, really pushing the car here as we're coming into the final minutes.
3 minutes to go here. Ford drives off into turn one with a 1/10 of a second lead. He slips up the racetrack. Thomas George is coming here, Finney. This might not be over yet. George slips up mid-corner, though, but he's going to close that gap behind him. Gale Brooks, Justin Rodden still fighting as the two leaders. Oh, Brooks in the fence on the straightaway.
Oh, it's
Weaving.
gonna get very dicey behind them. Rodden to the inside of Brooks, and there you see Rat McBride also trying to follow in through.
Jeff Ford is praying for a caution right now. We thought he'd pull away, but he has not. There's a big fight for Ford.
There's a good chance of a caution coming out here with these guys racing each other as hard as they are.
2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. This fight for fourth has absolutely heated up. And there's Nick Cohan in the background. He's worked his way into 11th, but he's going to have no chance to win this race. It's going to be between Jeff Ford and Thomas George. The question is, will there be a caution? A slip up here out of turn 2. 3 wide on the back straightaway.
Oh, this is going to be really interesting heading off into turn 3. Who's going to give way? I don't think many people are at this point in time. They see Brett McBride send it. He's going to send it.
We're going to try 4.
Yeah, we're going to try 4 wide, barely there for a moment. There you see there you see Rodden trying to gas it up mid-corner. Brooks trying to gas it up on the outside. He's going to get a big run into 1.
3 wide for 4th place. Meanwhile, Ward still leading. Close quarters there between the 0-1 and the 5. And we're just running out of time.
A hell of a fight here back for 4th place with all these guys. Anyone with a shot here. They're getting forward. There you see Pasquarello in the 79. He's looking strong here, but there's a lot of cars to work through. He's going to try to throw up the middle 3 wide.
Big gaggle of cars. The front 3 have pulled away, but it's the 3/10 between them. The arrow watch keeping them from getting to each other. Here's the 93 of McQuistion has recovered excellently from his early issues. Here's Cohan trying to make ground up on the inside, 3 wide. This is right now for about 6th place. And look at the 5 car throwing a block on the 71 down the front straight. The front 3. A blanket over the top of them, but Jeff Ford continues to lead as they still fight for 4th behind. McBride, Brooks, Rodden, McQuistion, Pasquarello, Cohan, Yazik, Johnson, Don Runkle Jr., and others all involved in this fight out of turn 2.
And you see McQuistion with a great run off the corner. Now going to try to look to the inside of Gale Brooks. And there he's going to throw it. And then you see Gale Brooks going to the inside, and McBride can't get it done. McQuistion trying to move it on the outside.
Coming back to probably what is 2 or 3 laps left in this race. Out of turn 4. The 0-1 slipping, sliding all over the place. The 76 jumps to the inside. Cohan looking for 6th of McQuistion. No changes up front.
Yeah, no changes up front. Ward's been holding a commanding lead at 2 to 3/10 of a second.
Ford continues to lead by 3/10 of a second. He's home free if he keeps it where it is. If the caution comes out, the race is over, but they continue to fight down the backstretch. McBride is recovered for 4th. Brooks, McQuistion still fighting for 5th off into turn 3.
And you see McQuistion trying to throw it up the inside there. Brooks trying to hold on the outside. And both these guys still side by side. And then you see Cohen trying to enter the fray here, trying to make up some spots. He has a chance of getting into the top 5 here.
White flag at any moment. When will we see the white flag fly? Jeff Ford leads by 2.5 of a second. He's out in front by a couple car lengths over Thomas George and Tim Silliman. They're gaggling behind. Look at the 76. He's loose out of turn 2. McQuistion comes over to block the 21 and the 71. White flag in the air. This is the final lap. Jeff Ford off into turn 3. He's going to come back and see the checkered flag fly. Out of turn 4, Jeff Ford is going to be competing in the fuel finals from 13th in the points. He gets himself in out of turn 4. McBride for 4th. Side by side for 5th. Who's it going to be? McQuistion gets it by an inch.
Yeah, order actually still changing.
Wow. Even the timing's trying to figure out what happened there. McQuistion scored in 5th at the moment.
I don't. Oh, you know what? I think because it's not reached the total amount of laps.
Well, I can do this.
It's messing up.
Yeah, by 0.03 of a second. So Jeff Ford, what a drive by this 89 team.
Yeah.
And what a huge mistake by the 21 of Nick Cohan.
A big error there on strategy has given way for the 89 of Jeff Ford to punch his way into the fuel finals.
And everyone on that cut line is freaking out now.
Yeah, and especially that's going to hurt Brian Yazik, who was in based off of points. That's going to push him out, and he's going to be in 11th now looking in to the points. So he's going to have to try to make up next week at Iowa. But man, who's the happiest sixth winner of the season? Jeff Ford in the 89.
And what a time to win it with only a couple rounds left until the fuel finals. He needed to win and he did it. He's been inconsistent at best, but he's had the speed to get there, and tonight he does it. Jeff Ward goes to victory lane here at Motegi. What a burnout.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to jump to break real quick. We'll be right back with your winner and others. Stay with us. Welcome back live to SimTV. Here with third place finisher Tim Silman, driving the number 6 rig share Camaro. Tim, kind of an up and down race, spent some time fixing some damage in pit road after contact with the 5 of Rhett McBride, but a recovery for third's got to be a pretty good day for you here at Motegi.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't quite sure how the car was going to handle after the damage was done, but it seemed once I got that out of the way, that everything was coming back to me. So I really have no complaints.
The last couple of cautions towards the end kind of split the strategy some places. What led to your decision to stay out there at the end? Did you feel like it was too soon to pit, or did you feel like they just didn't have enough time left to get to the end on fresh tires?
Well, I looked at the clock and I saw, well, there's this much time left, and I thought, well, the best way to get spots is to stay out on a track and let everybody else pit. So that seemed to work out.
Tim Silman, in the number 6 car, third place tonight. Thanks for talking to us, Tim. Great result for you. We'll see you next week.
Yep. See you later.
Next, we'll be talking to second place finisher. Oh, actually, we'll talk to Nick Cohan first. Nick, I know it was only a 6 for you tonight, a rebound from restarting in 15th. That might sound awesome, but I know you got to be disappointed with how that strategy got played out there at the end. So just walk us through the decision making in those last couple laps there.
Yeah, that's how it goes. At the end of these things, I knew the time was coming down, but the way the race was going, I didn't think we were going to have any more cautions. But everybody proved me wrong with that. So, yeah, it sucks, but I think we showed that we're going to be a force in the playoffs here. So, happy with the speed on this CG Automotive Toyota Camry tonight. Really fast, felt really good. Like that the setup was loose instead of this tank we've been driving all year. So it was a lot of fun. Just wish we could have stayed green there. Actually, would have been pretty exciting there because I think we were all about like 6 laps short on fuel. So it would have been really exciting to watch. Wasn't really sure how that was going to play out, but definitely think we had the best car tonight. But that's not how it goes all the time. So got Iowa next week. One more race until the playoffs. So we're locked in, so it doesn't hurt us bad. But it does stink when you run that good and can't get to victory lane. But we'll take it. Thanks to all my teammates at Dizzy Motorsports and PMS.
When you get to the fuel finals, Nick, it seems like the strategy game has been what's hurting you so far this year. So do you adjust how you run these races when you get to the fuel finals, or do you keep throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks and to pick up some more victories later this season?
Probably play it, it's hard to say. You want to be aggressive, because you want to win the championship, but you also want to play it smart and not cost yourself, kind of like I did tonight. I could have gotten caught up in a wreck there, and that really would have, hurt a lot if I didn't have a win. So, when you're the leader and there's a situation like that, pretty much whoever's behind you, everybody's going to do the opposite of what you do. Man, I don't blame them. So it's kind of stuck in the middle there. It was a bad time for a car to come out because with the time coming up and, there were 30-some laps to go. So if we stayed green, that would have been a totally different story. And the way the race was playing out, the long run seemed to be the way to play it. But, it didn't work out that way. But when the playoffs come, it'll be a totally different story. You're going to see more people take more chances, and you're also going to see some people play it even more conservative. So I don't really necessarily know if I'm going to change anything I do. Just got to, it's a split-second decision. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
A 6 for the 21 car tonight. It definitely doesn't reflect the running order in most of the race, but still a solid top 10. We'll see you next week, Nick.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, now we'll talk to the 9, Thomas George, who finished second tonight. Almost had him there, Thomas, but couldn't quite get there. Do you need a couple more laps? Do you need different setup, different line? What'd you need to get by the eventual winner there, Jeff Ward?
I think I need a better restart. These single file restarts. I mean, I know they're old school and they're here to try and help you guys with a little bit better racing, but I would have liked a double file restart there to maybe do something. I mean, Jeff and I were both driving the hell out of the car. I don't know if it's so much the setup. I don't know if it's the horsepower. I just didn't have enough off of turn 4. I mean, turn 1 and 2 I could keep even, but off of 3 and 4 I'd been struggling with for a good portion of the night. I just couldn't get the car to rotate where I wanted to, or I wasn't getting back in the throttle as quick as I should have been. So, I mean, all things considering, I mean, this thing was probably a top 8 car at best, and once again, Motegi proves that you need track position because, my God, is it hard to pass here.
Difficult to pass for sure, but different ends of the racetrack, different track layouts, tighter at one end than the other. Which end of the racetrack did you prefer tonight? Where could you make your passes if you needed to make them?
I kind of preferred, well, I wanted to get this set up off of turn 2 and then get them down in 3 and 4 because this track drives a lot like Darlington to me. The only difference is the reason I like Darlington is because you're against the wall more so than here where, you can kind of pinch from the inside, I guess, maybe, or at least, be in close proximity where the other guy kind of has to mind the wall and the car underneath him more so than here where it's wide open. So, I mean, as far as passing, I like to set, like I said, I wanted to set it up in 1 and 2 and then get them in 3 and 4 because that seemed to be better, even though I'd struggle there most of the night. So I'm kind of wondering why half the leaders pit there. I was just like, okay, well, this is a chance. I kind of wish Jeff had pitted there because then I'm pretty sure I could have won this one too.
Well, and one more car in the way to get through, but still a second place result, a great result for you tonight, Thomas. Thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next week at Iowa.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for broadcasting.
No problem. Last but certainly not least is going to be our winner, Jeff Ward, tonight. In the fuel finals, buddy, after you were 13th in points coming into the night, you weren't going to be able to make it in on points, and you needed to win, and you did just that tonight. Strategy, call, and pace got it to you. You actually talked about how quiet your night was prior to that strategy decision to stay out. Ran around second, following the 21 car all night, then he peels off the racetrack, and you just drove it home free, keeping it away from the 9 car. Walk us through the end of that race for you.
Yeah, Cal, we really needed this one. Like you said, we was not going to make it on points, so this was a pretty special win for us, man. I'm pumped up about it. I know it was it wasn't the best way to win it with, running out of time and winning the race that way and with Nick peeling off. But, I seen Nick go down and I knew that time was closing in. It was about 12 to 15 minutes left there. And I knew if I stayed out and enough cars stayed out with me that I'd have enough of a buffer there to try to pull ahead and see if I couldn't reach the time limit there. So was able to make it. It's just we was falling behind Nick there. There was one point there where we was kind of gaining on him. I'll start trying to figure some things out there, and one and two is where I was losing time most of the night, and I finally started kind of mimicking what Nick was doing. Now that I was up on his tail, I could kind of see what he was doing there, and started gaining some time on him and running kind of neck to neck with him there. And I don't know if we ever would have been able to catch him, but we'll take him how we can get him, and yeah, I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, for sure. But the one thing that has been hurting the 89 team this year has been the consistency of the results. Jeff, you've been incredibly fast every single week, but for bad luck or something that's taken you out a couple races, what do you think needs to change? What do you think you got to do differently in the Fuel Finals to make sure that you're a title contender at the end of the season?
We need to avoid the accidents. We've been caught up in several things that wasn't really our fault, especially there at Chicago. I think it was Tim and the number 6 banged doors coming out of 2, and we had a pretty good shot to win that race. We had a little bit fresher tires and was digging towards the front there. So just getting caught up in some things we don't need to get caught up in. Usually if you start up front and top 3, you can avoid some of that. So really it all goes back to being able to qualify a little better. If we can qualify top 3, 4, 5 every week, then we should be able to avoid some of that and have a little more consistency. So we'll work on that. We're definitely going to need that going into the finals, and this is going to be cool to be able to be in the finals. There with Scott, my teammate, we'll be battling with him, I'm sure. So looking forward to it.
All right, Jeff, race winner here in the Fuel Finals, the 89 team. We'll see you later, Jeff. Have a good night.
All right, thanks, man.
Been in a long race tonight, split up by about half a dozen cautions, but this racetrack really unique and put on a good show tonight. Drivers were able to use different lanes and lots of side-by-side battling, lots of nose-to-tail battling, some drivers struggling to pass, but Jeff Ward comes out on top and gets himself into the finals with only a couple races left, just in the nick of time.
Yeah, indeed, and that, again, with Jeff Ward getting the win, that's shuffled out. He gets out of the top 10 for the playoffs, and he's only 2 points behind Gil Brooks, so that's the gap for the margin there for getting in and being out of it. So Yazik's going to be all over his game, I'm sure, next week at Iowa, trying to make sure that he can race his way in. But then you look at guys like Greg Evans, who was having a good night up until that wreck at the end that took him out, and then also Rick McBride too. Evans and McBride, they're pretty much in a must-win situation for next week.
Yeah, and that's interesting. You mentioned McBride because he struggled tonight a little bit. He ended up actually finishing okay, I believe, but had a kind of some issues tonight. Ran into the wall once or twice, got into it with a couple drivers, had some pit road issues. So McBride, how the mighty have fallen in 1 year. He was one of the most dominant cars last season to this season, having some trouble.
And I mean, in general, you look at guys, the top 3, 2 of the top 3 from last year's championship. Now they're looking at not even being in the playoffs for this year. It's really how the tables have turned in that scenario.
That's going to do it for us tonight. Next race on SimTV is Thursday night Scars Ferrari Challenge at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's from Mount Panorama, Bathurst. That's going to be a fun one. Keep it between the concrete. We'll see you there on Thursday. Have a great night.